what is actually going on here? I'm talking about Aljo. I'm talking about Cejudo, who emotionally had retired. I mean, he took those gloves off and was going to retire. Now he wants to be the backup fighter. And, of course, Suga Sean. And Suga Sean, he's just ready at every turn. I mean, if you're friends with Suga Sean, you really, you like it when he comes on. You got a party going on, and he says, hey, I can't make it. You probably, oh, God, I would have rescheduled had I known you were busy. Like, he's always ready. So, let's just go back to the night that Henry's about to retire. Suga Sean gets in the ring. Merab steals his jacket, and Aljo's pissed at the world. Right? I mean, Aljo in many ways is the new Dominic Cruz, where he is upset even in victory. Somebody has disrespected him along the way. It doesn't matter how many hundreds of thousands he got waiting for him, that beautiful belt, that hot-ass girl he's walking around with. It does not matter. His motivation is being the underdog. He likes it. So he puts himself there and he keeps himself there. I hope that you're seeing that. I hope that you're seeing that because it's very tactical and it's very strategic. And it's right in front of your face. And there's a lot of guys that really struggle once success is found. They are scared of success to a degree. I could elaborate, but that's a fair way to say it. And I'm watching Aljo. He knows where he needs to be. He knows what drives him. He knew when he fought Peter Yan the second time, he needed the world to believe Yan was champion and he was the challenger, even though he was walking out last. And it is amazing the extent that Aljo will go to make sure he stays under the field. To make sure that he's the hungry guy that needs to bring down Sean. Aljo believes that right now. Right now. And nobody's told him, right? Like Coach Longo hasn't told it because he knows what I'm saying is true. This is where Aljo needs to be. It's a fascinating thing. Now, guys, check this out. I don't believe this fight at all. I love the jacket. I love Merab. I was happy for Aljo. I was really glad there was time. So Cejudo didn't retire. Dana goes into the back and he says, because this was a unique situation, right? Don't forget this. We don't need to go talk to anybody. We don't need to hold a contenders match like, say, we're doing for Islam by way of Oliveira versus Darush, who do not want to fight each other. I'm just going to keep saying that about that fight. I'm not right to predict for you that fight doesn't happen, but I'm right on the edge of predicting for you it doesn't happen. Okay. Dana goes in the back. Right, unique situation in that Sean is the number one contender. Oh, by the way, Sean's there. They've already faced them off organically. They already had to break up this is done. So when Dana gets to the press conference, he doesn't have to say, we're going to see what happens. He already knows. He's got it all figured out. And Dana drops on everyone Boston. And as soon as he said, man, if he would have said Salt Lake, if he would have said Seattle, if he would have said Baton Rouge or Jackson Hole, I think we would have dismissed it. And we would have chalked it up to we got a president who's tired. A president who's had a long night. Boston is his hometown. Boston is very different. Very, very different when Dana brings a show to Boston, when Dana speaks about Boston, when Dana promises something in Boston. It is a wildly different expectation and circumstances. So you're looking at it and going, is he taking Aljo to Boston? Get the counter out, I flip it, that's in August. From the day that this happened, that's 90 days from when this happened. They're not going to Boston. Dana misspoke. He misspoke. He's tired. He didn't talk to Aljo yet. He didn't know what the injury reports are. He can't turn him around that quickly and get him in Boston, particularly if you're going to main event him, which has been a struggle and you don't have the numbers in yet, and you got a guy like Islam, a champion who won in a record-setting top 5 pay-per-view, and he's not going to work. You got Adesanya, banging the doors down to the organization. You got Chimaev, a huge star. They haven't gone back to work yet, but Aljo and Sean are going to Boston in 90 days. No. And I'll stop right here because I could continue to begrudge this point. I just thought he misspoke, but for all those reasons that I just gave you. He did not. He's taking him to Boston. And so Sean and Sterling get in a back and forth. And Sterling used this as an opportunity to say, I haven't been spoken to. I think he was told. I haven't prepared for this guy one single day because I've been preparing for Henry. He's done nothing but have me in mind. I'm a little bit wounded. And you got me on the clock without even talking to me. But see, that wasn't Aljo trying to get out of it. That's a misunderstanding by you guys. That's Aljo getting into it. When Aljo goes into a fight, he needs these things against him. He needs them. He went as far as to come on. This is Aljo's glorious moment, guys, right? This is 15 minutes of fame. He comes out and tells the world, oh, they got so many Sean O'Malley fans in Boston. I'm going to get booed. He's going to be the favorite there. Before he'd been to one single training practice, before he's even sat down with Coach Longo to discuss strategies for Suga Sean, Aljo went out and aligned the universe, turned it upside down, and made himself the challenger. I really hope you guys aren't missing this. A very interesting thing. So, okay, Sean and Aljo getting a little back and forth. And Aljo tell, hey, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be in Boston. We'll do it later. They start doing the, where we start playing this game. And then Aljo gets pissed off and tells Sean, well, let's see what kind of badass you really are. I'll see you in July. I'm not going to make you wait for it. We're going to do this right now. And Sean writes him back without missing a beat. He says, no, I'm not that kind of badass. I won't be there in July. See you in August. And I mean, it's just one of these things where you go, okay, wasn't expecting that. So Henry has now come out. And Cejudo says he wants to be the backup fighter for that fight. This is a huge deal. And I don't know that he's going to get it. Because if you give it to him, if you give backup position to Henry, there's a chance you see Henry versus Aljo again, that's just not the direction that they're going right now. There's not. But if you think about it for a second, yeah, that first match, everything that needs to happen to warrant and demand a rematch happened in that first match. We could rematch it, but you're not really sold on it's going to be in 90 days. And Henry was just about to retire. And what a difference a day makes, right? He was getting ready to retire to the point that he took the gloves off. Now, when it was actually time to open his mouth, he only halfway did. I don't know if I'll be back. I might be. But I might be dead. I'll talk to my coach. Right? It was one of these halvesies. He goes in the back, gets on Twitter, starts calling people out. I mean, he changed his mind. I don't want you to miss this, though. You don't get to be the backup just because you say, I'm the backup. However, and the problem with making Henry the backup is what I just laid out for you. He gave a half a retirement speech the last time he was in the octagon. It would just be an interesting thing if it played out to fruition and these two end up having to compete. In 135, when Henry talks about, I want to be backup, I mean, this is an actual commitment. This isn't something you just say and you get a few dollar rights fee. Participation fee. That's not what this is. He will have to change his lifestyle just to be able to beat the scale, which is ultimately what he will for sure have to do to be the backup fighter. He didn't even have to throw a punch, not guaranteed. Got to beat the scale, though. So it's a very interesting commitment. It shows that he's very serious. There is, now stay with me, guys. Stay with me, okay? We're getting there. There isn't somebody else you could put in that spot that I'm aware of. Now, they don't have to have a backup at all. They don't have to do that. But this is a very unique situation in that the UFC, like anybody, has to operate on the information that they're given. Whether they like it or they trust the sincerity or the validity, they have to react to the information that they're given. We haven't seen a main event title fight, let alone in Boston. See, that's special to the boss. But we haven't seen a main event title fight that publicly, according to their own social media, is more in jeopardy than this one. Because one of them messing with you, I'm not going to come on her, I'm going to do this. And these guys are going to fight. I get that. What I'm saying is there's a good chance the UFC is going to have to respond to that. If they respond, you got to know that Merab is hurt. Do you guys know that? Merab had his hand done. So the last man left standing to it all be reasonable for that position is Cejudo. Now the question comes, in my opinion, not it will hit Cejudo be the backup fighter. Will they have a backup fighter? They may not. Safer money says they do not. They just don't. They don't create that story. They don't have that involvement. They don't bring Henry in that capacity. That is a safer bet. But if they do, there's good reason that they would. The geography of Boston, it does mean something. They want to get that right. Believe me, they want to get that one right. There's a good chance that Henry Cejudo, who was a moment away from retiring, who had taken the gloves, who was ready to retire and changed his mind, there is a good chance that he finds himself, just through strategy and just through this current world that they're in at 135, in backup position, which to us over here means what? We believe the backup guy is now the number one contender.